hopefully that's good. Alright, oops, yeah, that's all good. Okay. Shoot, I didn't bring my audio with me. Oh well, I guess people will just have to let me know. Okay, so we're going to get going in just a couple of minutes. Hopefully everybody can see me and all is well. I'm just going to load up the last few things here. A little bit rushed, but that's quite alright. I also don't have the chat quite open yet, so apologies if anybody's talking or they're saying things that I don't know, because I don't have my chat open yet. But that's coming in very soon. I'm doing that right now. Got like 5 screens ahead of me right now, so let's see here. Hope everybody's having a good night. I'm also going to change the, I'm just going to do that. Go. Okay. Great. I'm going to put that there. That might ding or whatever. Okay. Thanks. Yes, skip. Jeezers. Got like, as I said, like 3 or 4 screens here. So, what I am going to do though is on my live streaming page, I still have it set to like the to be determined. What we're listening to right now isn't actually what we will be listening to during the live stream. I'm going to change that once there we go. So this will be, instead of a let's listen to, this is a notes Q&A. That's right. Everything will be a Q&A. So, you know what? I'm just going to live stream. Live stream. And I'm going to add an exclamation part. There we go. So hopefully that is saved up and that people aren't wondering what we're listening to. I'll fix all that later on. Check out what we've got here in the chat. Okay, so it looks like we've got 4, and we're coming into the 2-minute mark. I think that's enough time. So, we are not listening to Oh Hiroshima. I know, sad times indeed. What we will be listening to is something completely different. Oh, and if you guys want to let me know in the chat if the levels are good, if you can hear me and you can hear the music. I want a good balance where you can hear both. What is TBD? That is a good question, Leon. That is to be determined. And I'm not saying that I want to answer your question or that the answer is I will get to it. It literally stands for to be determined. It's a little bit of a shorthand that we like to use. So what we're going to get to is the beard hunter. No, we're not going to do that. Although that would be a great the beard hunter. Okay, so what we're listening to today is a little bit different. It's one of my all-time favorite pieces. And for those of you that know me, this isn't going to come as a shock. Those of you who don't, and no, it's not Taylor Swift. It is a classical piece. It is Beethoven. It is the 6th Symphony in F major, the Pastoral Concert. So let's get that going. I wanted something a little bit lighter. I didn't want like the music to be the main focus here. I wanted the Q&A. So bring in those questions, put them down in the chat box, and I'll get to them. So we're going to start off the music and kick this all off with Symphony Number 6 in F major, the Pastoral. And hopefully you all familiar with this piece. I am a particular lover of classical music. The music is a tad loud. How about now, Frank and Dan's? Is it still loud? Do I need to turn it down a little bit? I know that we've switched from Oh Hiroshima to Beethoven. So I know that the mixing is going to be a little bit different. And yeah, Travis, my good buddy there, he's asking how many versions do I have? Okay, it's good now. But do let me know. This is... What do we got? I mean, I'm listening to it on Spotify, and it was the first one that popped up, and I'm always... Okay, the audio's kind of loud. Okay, again, let me know if it's getting too loud or too quiet. I'll turn it down just a hair. I wanted it to be more of background music. So yeah, I have 3 on vinyl. I have 3 copies on vinyl, and then the rest is just whatever the first one is on Spotify. I'm on the hunt for like the quintessential rendition of it. So yeah. Now I did see a question, and again, this is going to be a Q&A, so this is less of a me reacting to the music and more just interacting with you guys. I reached out to Twitter. I think that's the only way. I reached out to Twitter. I got a couple preloaded questions just in case things die down in terms of the conversation. So yeah, the main crust of this video is going to be the Q&A, us interacting between one another. And the first question that I had was from Paul, which was, do I enjoy Tales from a Topographic Ocean? Yes, I do. It's one of my favorite Yes pieces. I really, really enjoyed that. It took me a while, though. It took me a long time to really appreciate it for what it is. You know, and I know a lot of people love it because it's 4 long songs, and I know a lot of people hate it for the exact same reason. But for me, I loved it and I hated it when I first listened to it. Like, I didn't really get Ritual. The Giant's End of the Sea or the Giant's End of the Sun, I keep forgetting which one it actually is. That one I just couldn't get at all. The only ones that I really liked, I really only kind of enjoyed the Science of God, the Revealing Science of God. No, the entire piece from start to finish is definitely one of my favorite pieces now. The Giant's End of the Sea or Giant's End of the Sun, whichever one it is, it goes off a little bit when it comes into the like the rhythm section of it, and it does kind of dip and dive a little too much. Like Steve's part on the guitar is a little too different than the rest of the pieces surrounding it, to kind of make it as a cohesive whole. But I do love just the overall presentation of that album. I mean, Ritual, by the end of it, I just weep because of how long it's taken to get there and the power and energy behind all of that. And, excuse me. And that second song, unfortunately, the song escapes me in terms of what is that second song. I mean, I have an iPad right here. I can just look it up. That second piece is just so moving. It's, especially when it does dip and dive. And it's going to bug me until I actually look it up and see what it is. Let's see here. That would be, see all albums. Not going to look at the Steven Wilson one because it chops it up like crazy. Remembering. How can I remember? Of course, it's the Remembering because I couldn't remember it. Okay, so let's get to some of these questions. I'm seeing that there's a couple really good ones in here. Some of these I'll be answering in like really quick go at it, like have I listened to the Moody Blues? No. And some of them will be a little bit longer. Like, let's see here. George is asking, what do I think is the best and worst Marillion album? Ooh. Now, I haven't listened to all of H's stuff. Like, everything, like, I've listened to a few of H's stuff, but I haven't listened to all of them. So, this is going to be a little bit of an ignorant answer just because I haven't listened to them all. Fugazi might be my least favorite one, just because there are a few tracks on that I just did not like at all. At least with H's stuff. The worst that happens are that it's boring. Yeah, with Fugazi, I think I only listened to it maybe 3 or 4 times, and then I was just like, nah, it's not for me. But in terms of their best, I mean, I gotta go with Script. Script From a Jester's Tear is still the best. Like, they reached such a high mark on that first one. I know it's a fallback answer, and well, it's still my answer. Brave is also up there, and same with Marbles. Those would be like a close second. Let's see here. What do I think of Van de Graaff Generator? Love them. I got really into them in my early 20s. So I have a hard time listening to them now just because of where I was when I was introduced to the band. And the band was mirroring a lot of angst and a lot of anger that I had at that time. So I was actually preparing to feature them as the next worst to best band within my series coming into May. But I think I got like all the way, like Pawn Hearts is still one of my favorite, and same with Still Life. But yeah, once we got into like some of those harder concept in terms of like dark, I still love them and I still really, really appreciate them, but I really have to be careful when I listen to them. So yeah, let's see here. Can I rank all of Haken's albums, including Restoration? Yes, I can. Which album? No, I'm gonna answer that one before I move on. Let's see here. Just off the top of my head, without doing any kind of like getting into it. Probably Affinity would be their bottom, and I mean, and that's the bottom. That's really saying something. Then it would be a toss-up between Restoration and Vector. Like, the two are pretty close in terms of that. Then Visions, and then the last two I kind of go back and forth, but if a gun was to my head, probably the Mountain and then Aquarius. But those could change on any given day. But, like, that's spitballing off the top of my head. Let's see here. Any other questions from up top that I missed? Again, let me know if the audio is too soft or too loud. Because, you know, I still want you guys to listen to some Beethoven. Nothing wrong with some Beethoven. Again, honestly, this is one of my all-time favorite pieces. One of my all-time favorite pieces, and that's just why I just, let's see here. Staying on the Haken train, because we're getting some momentum. What do I think of Vector now? It's been a few months. Really enjoy it. Very strong album. The ending, though, still needs some work. I feel like it's a full stop, as opposed to, like, a really good, like, ending. And that was something that Haken always is able to do. And I know I mentioned this in my review, but I'll just reiterate, like, Haken is always really good at tying an album together by the end. And that's seen on every single album except for Vector. And I don't know what it was with Vector, but it was just like a really strange trip fall instead of a planting the landing. But other than that, like, the songs, I was actually thinking about it on my way home from work today. Like, I really need to go back and re-listen to it because of how strong it was. Let's see here. Have I ever listened to any Czechoslovakia prog? No, I haven't. Unfortunately. Yeah, there's a lot of world prog that I haven't been able to get into. So, outside of, like, what some people have been suggesting, it's like, listen to this band, listen to that band. And I probably have, but I just can't pick any out of my head from there. Let's see here. Which album was the first that made you think, how could I live without you? Oh. I mean, I don't want to say my fallback, which is Selling England by the Pound. So I'm going to think back. I'm going to reach back into Young Michael's, or Young Notes. Well, you already know my first name. Young Notes' Brain. What was the first album that really said, how could I live without you? I mean, I already covered a couple of them, like the High Dials, The War of the Awakening Phantoms really hit me hard. Yeah, I mean, when you're a teenager, you're starting to really develop those kind of feelings towards them. I do remember one that particularly hit me was Moon Safari's Bloomjud when I was doing my master's program. And that was one of the first times where an album just hit me really hard, and I was just like, how could I live without you? So I think that was probably the best one there. Okay, ooh, excellent. We're getting a lot of questions. Great. Keep going, keep going. I'm loving this. What do I think of Civilization by Southern Empire? Check out my review. It is on my channel. I loved it. Loved it. It made my top 10 last year. I think it was number, what, 6? 7? Now, I mean, I was biased because I listened to it really heavily when I went out east this past year, well, 2018. One of my best friends and I, we went to Newfoundland, and I listened to that while road tripping, so loved it. Are there any bands of whom you don't understand the appeal at all? Let me see. There is. I just need to think of that. Are there any bands that I can't understand the appeal? I mean, a lot of the popular stuff now, like less so bands because I don't know any, but like the trap rap, that I don't really get the appeal of, but it's not made for me. Like, that's the thing. Somebody had asked when I reached out to Twitter if there's any kind of style or genre of music that I don't like, and it's not necessarily that I don't like, it's just it's not made for me, so of course it's not going to affect me. So trap rap I just don't get the appeal of because it's not made for me and because I don't have the history that's needed to come up within that. I also don't really get the appeal of like really technical metal, like we're looking at like the Gents, we're looking at like the really technical stuff. dipping the toe a little bit into the math rock, and I think a part of that is that I don't have like a real classically trained musician background to really get a lot of the poetry. It would be like somebody who loves books but never really appreciates poetry because they don't really get like the use of metaphors or similes or like themes and symbols. So I think it's along that line. It's not that I don't get it, like I can't understand why people enjoy it. It's not made for me, so I don't really gravitate it because I don't have a lot of that, like, oh, they're using this particular skill set or they're using this particular note sequence or things like that. Okay, so we're getting some good questions here, guys. This is great. Favorite album cover. Oh, somebody had asked me this before. What is my favorite album cover? I honestly can't tell you off the top of my head. Anything by Roger Dean, I love. I mean, that's the quintessential progressive rock. Yeah, just the colors, the very like grand scale, sci-fi-ish. What other ones do I have? That anyway, let's see here. Is Bad Company rock or country? I'm not familiar with that, so I don't know. What do you think is the most relaxing prog band? Well, it depends on my mood. Most relaxing prog band. I mean, if we're going into the prog related, Explosions in the Sky and Mogwai, because of their atmosphere, and they're less bombastic than a lot of the post-rock stuff, like the Swans or the Godspeed You Black Emperor. But in terms of like relaxing band, prog specific band, let me see here. I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna let that familiar. I'm not familiar with Jacob is it Collier? I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with that. Let's see here. Anything that I've got? That's just a bunch of musicians. Cool. Going into Czech bands. Love. Yeah, Kid A's album cover. I love an album cover that perfectly matches the music that's found within it, because I mean it is the first entry point. So, yeah. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, hey! I've got a Patreon there. Thanks. Yeah, if you guys want to donate to Patreon, I've got the link below. So do that. Yeah. What band has the best sound textures? Ooh, that's a good question. Sound textures. I mean, the first band that came to my mind was like Tangerine Dream, because that's their whole shtick, is creating those textures. I mean, to a lesser extent, Jean-Michel Jarre and Tomata. Again, more of that electronic prog from like the 70s and early 80s. But yeah, Tangerine Dream, definitely with those textures. Fave Godspeed album, Luciferian Towers knocked me out hard. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Luciferian Towers, man, it's got to be Lift Your Skinny Fists. I also like the Yankee album, the Yankee Redeemer, the MF one. Particularly love that one. Really dig that one. So probably like Luciferian Towers and Yankee are like really close there. What do I think of Mike Oldfield's work in the 80s and up? I'm actually not all that familiar with his work in the 80s and up. I rediscovered him when I got into the YouTubes with his Man on the Rocks and Return to Omadon. Return to Omadon, easily my favorite album from him, hands down, so brilliant. Man on the Rocks was great contemporary pop. So I like that he's still able to balance both ideas in him. Let's see here. How do I feel about Frank Zappa, and what is your favorite album by him? I love Frank Zappa. He has too many albums, and I don't have enough time to listen to them all. The only one that I really got into was Hot Rats. Really like Hot Rats. I do have a couple of his live albums, like his guitar album. And I think he had like this Christmas album. So those ones... just because those are the ones that I know. And when I was like a teenager, my dad and I watched his Baby Snakes video, his DVD there. That was just bonkers. I love that. Let's see here. Oh, great. I'm loving that we've got a lot of questions coming in. I was afraid that I wasn't going to get any questions. So the fact that we're getting some good conversations going on here. Why is Tubular Bells so amazing? The Exorcist. That's the easy answer, because everybody knows The Exorcist. Everybody knows that piano piece. But honestly, I think Tubular Bells is so amazing because of the experimentation in a wider range within a purely instrumental facet. And I mean, you can go to a layman on the street and play them The Exorcist theme, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize that. And then that's kind of the entry point where you hook them and you bring them on in. Let's see here. What do we got here? What do you think of these remasteries? And I need a little bit more context on the remasteries. What do you mean? And R is the ones to go to. Yeah, you need to give me a little bit more there, Steve. I'm sorry. I don't quite know that. What is my favorite Devin Townsend track? It's gotta be either Deconstruction, the track, like the second last track on Deconstruction, or Kai. Deep Peace is also really high up there. So it wavers between those three. I think Deep Peace might be my favorite, but Kai is like scratching the flooring of that. Oh, did I get anything from Record Store Day? Yeah, I did. I was really hoping to get Peter Gabriel's PG and Emerson, Lake and Palmer's live album, but the 2, 3, was it 4? I went to a lot of stores that day, and I also had a pretty big event going on at like 1 o'clock that next day, so I had a lot that I had to do. But none of the stores that I went to carried it, and by the time I would have had a little bit more time to actually go around and look for them, none of the stores had it. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, because I was really, really excited for the Peter Gabriel one. Like, really excited. I haven't really been that disappointed about a Record Store Day in a while. Only because, like, I got up really early, I got to the front of the line, or at least as close as I could get, and yeah. So anyway, all I did get, and I'll do like a big album haul a little bit later, probably next week. I did get the Mastodon release, and I did get the soundtrack to Star Trek. So that's what I got. Let's see here. Just looking here. Worst Rick Wakeman solo album? Well, again, I haven't listened to all of them, and that man puts out albums. Like, he is non-stop. He just keeps going. But, okay, so I picked up, and I'll actually show you this, because it's kind of hilarious. Where is it? Is it in that one, or is it in this one? It's in one of these cubbies. That's, no. Here we go. So, those of you who know me know that I love Phantom of the Opera. It's one of my favorite musicals of all time. And so when I saw that there was the Phantom of the Opera, this one here, music composed and played by Rick Wakeman, I'm like, how could I not? This is bad. This is a bad album. It is not good. It is cringe-worthily bad. And it's one of those, it's so bad that I listen to just for the entertainment value of how bad it is. You know what? I'm going to put this right here now. That's going to be our little, yeah, that's going to be our little background piece there because of how, oh man, you got to listen to this. It is just, yeah, it's one of those, like, such a big train wreck that I just can't help but love. Thick as a Brick or Aqualung? That's got to be, Thick as a Brick. Favorite Steve Hackett album? I mean, Voyage of the Acolyte? This first one is still, I know it's a cop-out. I mean, I also really like, oh shoot, what's the one? Let me just bring up his discography. I know I'm cheating. Whatever. This is my show. I can do what I want. Steve Hackett. It's the one with the Transylvanian Express. I should know it by now of what it's actually called. I really like that one. It's like the Wild Orchard? Wild Orchids? Yeah, the Wild Orchids. That one I really, really enjoyed. I also really like Moonlight. Wolflight. Wolflight is really fun. Really like Wolflight. Do you consider yourself much of a gamer? There's a ton of Yes. So I recently picked up the Switch last month. So I'm getting back into it. I was a big, not big, because I know a lot of my friends are even bigger gamers, but I mean, I used to play games, video games specifically when I was a kid, like, you know, the Final Fantasy X, Shadow of the Colossus. I grew up with the Sega Genesis, and we had a Nintendo 64, but we had to sell it because of my brother. I had the Sega Dreamcast, man. Love that Sega Dreamcast. And then we had the PlayStation 2, so that's where a lot of those games came from, and then like the computer consoles. So like StarCraft, I loved Diablo 1 and 2. I mean, I played the hell out of The Sims and Roller Coaster Tycoon. So, yeah, and I love video game soundtracks are amazing. They're great music to study to. Pro tip, if you're a student, study to video game soundtracks because they're specifically made for you to focus in. So, there's your pro tip. So that's it. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Let's see here. Where do I stand versus colored and black vinyl debate? I didn't realize there was a debate. I always wonder if there's going to be a sound compromise to a colored one versus a black one. But honestly, I haven't been able to hear it within my setup. Now, I know I have a Frankensteinian setup right now where like all these things are hooked into other things. So I probably don't have the best setup to really hear anything. But I'm like the difference between the two, I don't hear anything different. And I mean, at this point, it's pretty much a cash grab. So yeah. Where should one start with King Crimson? At the beginning, Court of the Crimson King. Kind of gives you a great introduction to their music. Other than that, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint where to go from there because each album, outside of maybe its follow-up of In the Wake of Poseidon, is so different for what they are trying to do. So I would honestly, if I had 3 albums for you to start with, go for Red, go for Power to Believe, and go for Islands. There you go. That's going to be a controversial thing, but that gives you kind of a good idea for what to expect. And then from there, you can kind of like branch off to find out what's the best. Let's see your thoughts on Pain of Salvation. It's Pain of Salvation. I know a lot of people love, but I haven't really been able to get into that more raw, grungy style. I know most people really like a raw presentation and more of like an organic one, but for me, I really like a polished sound. In terms of like, and I also love this piece. But yeah, I enjoy some of their stuff, but overall, it's not for me. I'm not like super excited whenever there's a new album from them. So yeah. The remasters by Steven Wilson, yes, King, yep. The royal treatment of, yep. What do I think? Are these versions to go for? Yeah. I mean, Steven Wilson knows what he's doing when he's behind the mixing board. I hear, like, I mean, I have the Steven Wilson box set for Yes, just because I love all the albums that he touched on those. And I think he does a really good job. Like, the man knows how to balance a good mixing board. So he really knows what to embellish and what to kind of leave alone because it's already perfect. I always say, like, it's like when it gives it a perfect wash for bringing out those qualities that had been either suppressed or subdued. So yeah, I mean, if you already have the album, it's not like it's groundbreaking or anything like that. But definitely I'm for it, and I think it's great. Okay, let's see here. Trilogy by Carpenter Brunt. Don't know them, so I can't give you a definitive answer to that. Let's see here. Yes, I'm going to answer Travis's, Lucio's, the reviews and blogs there. Yeah, I saved a lot of the questions from Twitter, again, just in case I didn't get a really good conversation going. But man, we're getting a lot of questions here, and I'm loving this. Let's see here. What's my take on the cassette revival? Where do I think it's going in the future? I think there's enough fan base and enough nostalgia for it at the moment to keep it livable and to sustain it. I mean, in a trade as a librarian, tapes are always the most reliable in terms of an archival medium, just because of how long-lasting it is. Like, it's an oxidized magnetical tape, which will not corrode. Like, you can't really place things on CDs, because CDs have a shelf life of like 50 to 100 years before they completely oxidize and they're unreadable anymore. And unfortunately, with a lot of other stuff, you also have that reader ability. And Magdalene Rose on Tea with Megs was actually talking about this, about how there was this medium that she could no longer read. I know that there's a video in her back catalog that you can check out. And so, yeah, I think because Vaporwave and that style is coming back really heavily, I think the tape medium focuses and harnesses that perfectly. The thing is, it's not for me. So if you were to ask me if I were to endorse it, I wouldn't, only because I don't like the sound quality of tapes. You have a hissing, there's a noise cancellation and noise reduction quality to it. There's a compression rate that goes along with it. So I mean, in terms of sound quality, I don't like it. I used to listen to tapes all the time as a kid, only because of the portability of it. Because, I mean, you know, when I was in middle school, you couldn't walk around with Walkman because it would skip. And records, unfortunately, you can't. They're not portable at all. So I do like the fact that it's finding its audience, and as long as there's an audience to sustain it, I'm all for it. I think it's fantastic. And I love the fact that they're really excited about it, because now all these Vaporwave and all those more like 80s neon is coming back. I think it's great. I don't endorse it, but I think it's great. Okay, let's see here. We got a couple questions that came in here. Am I familiar with the Trout Mask replica? Yeah, I am. That's from Captain Beefheart, right? It's interesting. I think they were going... See, whenever a band, and I know Captain Beefheart was the first to kind of do this, where it was like the avant-garde stuff, where they're like making music that doesn't sound good, and that's the point. I think you have to circle back around and make it sound good. Like, I love a good chaos, balls to the wall, insane, but you gotta bring it around somehow. It's gotta connect in some ways, and I don't know if... I think it was more of like the aesthetics of the Captain Beefheart and the Trout Mask. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave that. Do I know and do I like the Canadian band, the New Pornographers? I do know of them, but I've never actually sat down and listened to it. Do I go to concerts? If so, is there a bucket list of a band you want to see? Yes, I go to way too many concerts. Travis can attain to that, because holy jeez, last week... Was it last week? No, the week before. I went to see 3. I saw Muse, I saw Deaf Haven, Baroness, and Zeal and Ardor, and I saw Dream Theater. Holy jeez, that was a lot. Bucket list, I've pretty much crossed off everybody that I can. Because a lot of the bands that I want to see are kind of dead. Or I wouldn't want to see them because they're out of their heyday. But any bands, like Opeth used to be on them, but I saw them, their last tour circuit. Who else do I want to see that would be on my bucket list? Because I've pretty much seen everybody that I want to see. Moon Safari. Oh, excuse me, burp there. I would love to see Moon Safari, but the closest that they come is Montreal, and I can't get out to Montreal. Marillion I still haven't seen, but I don't know if I would really want to see them. Yeah, I'd go with Moon Safari. Moon Safari's probably the last one on the bucket list. Let's see here. What did I miss? Seeing them tomorrow night. Yay! James LeBray was surprisingly... Yep. Ooh, did we run out of questions? Oh, man. I'm gonna have a quick look up top to see if I missed anything. Let's see here. It's good, because we're coming into a really great part. This is one of my favorite parts of the piece here. I think I've pretty much answered everything. Let's see here. No, that's all that. I could turn to the questions that I received on Twitter. I know that we had a really great conversation there. I'm just... Oh, favorite album of all time. Selling England. It's Selling England by the Pound. It's my go-to at this point. I know it's a cop-out. Do I know of any albums, bands that have a giant sloth on the cover that is made out of flowers? No, I don't. That was easy. I'm seeing, I think that's, yeah, okay, let's go to, I'm going to keep the, I did save a bunch, so let's see here. Let's get to some of those Twitter questions then. Let's see here. Ooh, while that's loading up, it looks like another question came in. Do I like any Green Day albums? I do. I loved American Idiot. I think part of that was because it came out when I was in grade 11 or 12. One of the two. It came out when I was at the end of high school. And I love the fact that they incorporated some of that proggy elements within it, being a concept album, being a rock opera. They had 2 longer pieces, over 9 minutes in there, so that was fantastic, the fact that they did that. And I also really love 21st Century Breakdown. I think I might even like that one more than American Idiot. Even though American Idiot, well, no. I was going to say American Idiot has more bangers. I know that American Idiot is definitely more popular just because it came out first. But for me, yeah, I loved 21st Century Breakdown. Which is funny because I know a lot of people... Copying that link and pasting it in here. A lot of people love their earlier stuff, like the Nimrod, the Dookie, and that kind of stuff. It's all right, but yeah. Let's see, did I miss anybody? I'm going to go back to the chat over here. Let's see here. Where would I rank Distance Over Time in comparison with other Dream Theater albums? Somebody had asked me this actually on my Distance Over Time album review. I can't remember off the top of my head how I ranked everyone. I don't have a photographic memory like that. But I put it probably in and around like Falling Into Infinity and Dramatic Turn of Events. I'd probably put it over Dramatic Turn of Events. See, I say that, but then I'm like, but do I really? Because then I think about Dramatic Turn of Events. I'm like, no, there are some really, really good moments on that album. But kind of in and around there. Like, in and around there. I know that I put Dramatic Turn of Events and Falling Into Infinity in and around the same area, so I kind of put those very, very similar. What do I think about Neil Young? He's fine. He's not one of my favorites of that kind of a genre. Yeah. Let's see here. Do you think it would be possible for you to ever do some video game Let's Play? Nope. That is a hard nope. Sorry, man. That is not this channel. I know that there are a lot of people that are much better at that than I am, and I am not one of them. Let's see here. Oh, that's going back, right? I saved the wrong one. Okay, so let's just go to Twitter. Keep those questions coming, by the way, while I'm fiddling around with this and just seeing what we've got here. I know, was there another one? No. You were on the fence about Coma Eclectic a while ago. Where do I stand now? Yeah, I'm still on the fence. Yeah, I mean, I put it on gradually from time to time, and it's odd. Like, it's such a counterintuitive album for me because, like, whenever I want to say something about it, it kind of counters back with a counter-argument. Like, at first I wanted to say, well, I don't really like the structure, but then I realized structurally it's one of the most sound albums. I'm like, but it doesn't have a whole lot of really hard-hitting parts. But I'm like, that wasn't really the point of the album to begin with. So, I'm still kind of on the fence of where I am with that album. I mean, I'll go on the record and say it's probably one of their weaker later albums. It is still... Yeah, it's a different one. It is definitely an interesting one. Are there any unfairly maligned albums that you think are painfully underrated? I'm just going to do a quick thesaurus because even though I have an undergrad thing in English, I still don't know some of these words that you guys are throwing at me. Let's see what we got. Maligned, what is that word? We're going to Twitter. It is deframe slander. Okay. I mean, you can check out my Masterpiece Theater of some of the lesser known ones. Like, I know my tastes are a little different than everybody else's. Like, I think that Moon Safari is definitely very underrated. But I mean, they also haven't really put out anything since, what, 2011? 2012 maybe? So that's kind of their own grave that they dug in that sense because of the distance since they last put out anything. Yeah, anything from them is just brilliant. Other than that, like Shadow Circus I friggin' love, but it's mainly just due to their one album. And yeah, ooh, now we're getting some, oh great, now we're getting some questions. Okay, just a little bit of a dip, that's all. Let's see here. Do I like bands, Era or Born, or Sorry, bud. I don't know bands like Era or Born or Osiris. Yeah. Let's see here. Prog metal. Can't recall ever seeing reviews of Fate's Warning or Queensryche. Yeah, so Fate's Warning and Queensryche I like because of the foundation that they set for a lot of the progressive metal stuff. Now, I only really got into them about 2 years ago, so I still am not familiar with their entire back discography. I think Fate's Warning is really great in terms of like that powerhouse stuff, and I like Queensryche for just being that, not necessarily simple, but like getting down to the roots of what metal was in like the 80s. So I really like those. I would definitely recommend and checking them out. Have I ever heard of Salamander? No, I have not heard that. Sorry. When did I start playing the ukulele? Yeah, so, in my other life, I am a librarian, and I do story time. So, I infused the playing of the ukulele in my story times, and so I picked it up back in mid-March. I purchased one on Amazon, and I've just been learning. I'm not all that great yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I know, what, 3 Taylor Swift songs, a handful of Greg Lake's ballads. I know a couple Genesis songs, and I know a few other serenade songs, like I like to say. And hopefully, if I ever get good enough, maybe I'll post some, not on this channel, on another channel. So yeah, let's see here. I know they are usually mocked as a band, but have I ever listened to Linkin Park's 1,000 Suns? Somebody had actually recommended that I listen to Linkin Park's 1,000 Suns. I haven't listened to it. I'm not, like, Linkin Park's music does absolutely nothing for me, so I kind of avoided it. I think I spun it once, and I'm like, yeah, it's, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you like it, go for it. No, not doing, like, you do you, essentially. Like, just because it's not for me doesn't mean that you can't get something out of it. Let's see here. Spanish prog grad. Cheeto Magazine. Oh, I've never heard of Cheeto Magazine. Talented and humorous. Oh, I love when you can blend the two there. That's great. Would I call Asia a prog band? Nope. Let's see here. Jay Morrison. Oh, somebody sent... oh, don't worry about that, Jay. Didn't even notice. Let's see here. Any other questions? Okay, so I know that I had a few. Again, I'm clicking around here. Click, 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 click. You're probably just hearing a lot of click, 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 clicks. Let's see here. What am I missing? I'm going through my Twitter because I know a couple people had asked me questions through Twitter, and if there was ever a lull, I get to that. Oh yeah, I already mentioned that. That was the somebody had asked if I have an eclectic taste in music. Tom asked me that. Any genre that I don't enjoy, and I already kind of addressed that with like trap rap and a lot of popular stuff. Let's see here. Any other questions that came up during that? I know I got a lot of questions when I reached out originally when I was going to do like a follow-up to the Let's Debate or the Let's Discuss. Somebody asked me that. Let's see here. I know that I have another one here. Let's see here. These were more of like the hot takes. Okay. I've got one in case. Oh, good. I know you love Supertramp, but what about Alan Parsons? Back here I have a lot of his stuff. I really love his stuff. I, Robot, that last 2 tracks I particularly enjoy. Yeah, I really like his first album, The Tales from Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, I need to do a little bit more of a deep dive, because I think I've only listened to like a handful of his albums, like Turn of a Friendly Card, and The Eye in the Sky, and Eve, I think I listened to once. I need to get back into that. It was, I mean, when I listened to it, it was back when I was, doing my big prog snob stuff, so I was just like, oh, this is too pop for me, I can't listen to this. Yeah, let's see. There we go. Okay. How many records do I have? Way too many. Sorry about that. What band would you say is your gateway into prog? For me, it was Dream Theater, which I'm sure is almost everybody's answer. Well, I mean, for me, it was Yes. Yes was the gateway to prog, because that was my first concert. That was the first one that actually forced me to sit down and listen to prog, in all honesty, because I was at the concert. So that was the gateway. My dad took me to see Yes when they were doing their Keys of Ascension stuff. Loved it. Never listen to Selling England again, or never listen to anything by Yes again. Ooh. That's a toughie. Oh, man. I have to... Okay, so that's the end of the album, but we're going to listen to something, because I'm going to be here for the full hour. We're going to do an hour Q&A. That was Ludwig von Beethoven's Symphony 6 in... what was that? F minor? I think that was F minor. F major! That'd be a little bit different. Let's see here. Do we have, like, the Moonlit Sonata? That's a fun one to listen to. Or maybe the 5th. Let's do the 5th. Let's see here. Sounds like somebody's playing something up above. Probably hearing what I'm saying. Like, oh, we can do this. Okay, so let's see here. Where's Beethoven's 5th? We'll listen to the 5th, and then we'll call it an evening. Let's see here. And then I'll get to some of those last questions. Early recordings, triplets. No. Piano sonatas. No, we want the 5th. There's the 6th and 8th. 5th and 7th. Oh no, this was the piano. Let's try that again. Sorry guys, sitting here and answering questions without music is going to be way too weird for me. I know I could probably just search Milestone's a Legend. Okay, let's just search Beethoven's 5th then. Keep those questions coming, by the way. Beethoven 5th. There we go. Here we go. Beethoven's 5th and beyond. Sounds good. There it is. All right. Okay, so what was I talking about? What was I? Oh, right. Never listening to Selling England by the Pound again, or listening to anything from Yes. My gut reaction is never listening to Selling England by the Pound, just because of how much I would miss listening to all of Yes's pieces. So that's my answer. Okay, so let's scroll back up because I see a lot of stuff coming up here. Are you a King's X fan? They're working... So, funny story about King's X. I saw Porcupine Tree when they were doing The Incident album tour, and King's X opened for them. They were not good live. Oh man, my buddy and I had to stifle our laughter when they came on the stage. Just couldn't get into them, so I am not a fan. But, I mean, hey, if you guys love them, then go for it. Let's see here. Thoughts on Krautrock? No, I love Krautrock. Kraftwerks was great. Grobschnitt is probably my favorite. Love them. Yeah. Thoughts on Paradise Theater from Styx? Ooh, I don't know that one. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Getting into Zach's thing about pleb questions, sorry. There's no such thing. Don't worry about it, man. Like, I'm actually going to do a video sometime in the future about, like, the difference, like, a lot of musical fan bases has this really big and toxic, like, gatekeeping atmosphere that's just like, oh, you do not deserve to be in our fan base because you don't get it, man. I'm like, buddy, chill. Like, you're being so counterintuitive. Like, you're doing the entire music scene a disservice from doing that, so you never have to worry about doing this. Like, there's no such thing as a pleb question, so don't worry about that. Yeah, stop that. Essentially, just stop that. Let's see here. Do I like electronica artists? I mean, I like the electronica aesthetic. I haven't really gotten into any of them. Vinyl tag anytime soon. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry, David. Vinyl tag, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I'm going to do another record haul just because I have so many that I haven't talked about that I have. So that'll probably be the first video that goes on my channel when I start recording again. So, and then Juan is just saying close to the edge. Yep. Somebody is saying down by the river. Yep, sure. I love when it's out of context because I'm sure that was in response to something, but I'm not quite sure what it was. Would like to get a Neil Morris LP. What would I recommend? Some of the new double LPs? I mean, they've only really done 3, right? You've got The Great Experiment, or The Grand Experiment, The Great Adventure, and Similitude. Similitude's my favorite out of the 3 of them, so, I mean, go for that one. It's a little expensive. I mean, I bought it a little expensive, but yeah. Let's see here. What else do I have? Do I find that Neil Morse is treating exactly the same territory as every album he makes on first listen? He was. He was starting to break away a little bit when he did the whole Neil Morse band stuff, but he's found the formula that works, and I don't think he's going to deviate from that. And his fan base seems to be fine with that, so there's really there doesn't seem to be any like initiative for him to try something new, because he's found something that works, and it works well. So in that sense, there's no initiative for him to try something new. Yeah, I thought he was going into a really fun direction with not the great direction, with Similitude of a Dream, but yeah. Let's see here. It's my favorite. Is that Seahorse? Is that Caligula's horse? I think the latest album is the only one that I've actually listened to. The Canterbury scene, I still haven't been able to get into it. Every time I try to sit down and listen to it, I just never find the time, and I'm always bombarded with like different stuff, so I haven't actually been able to get into it, which is a shame, because I know it's a really good subset of prog, and it's unfortunately a subset that I've been ignoring. So yeah. Now that's an interesting question. Least favorite Yes album cover. Not album itself, but album cover. Now I'm just thinking through the album covers. I mean, I was going to say the debut album, but it does its job. Time of the Word, the UK release, was a little strange. Just like the Naked Woman on top, that's all kind of like stretched out within the angle of the camera there. I'm not quite a big fan of. You know, I think the nudity would probably turn off some of the more, not like those who would be turned off by that. I mean, the 90125 is just ridiculous, because it's just bleh. But on the other hand, you also know exactly what you're getting into, because it does service the album pretty well. So that and Big Generator. So, I mean, I don't like those albums covers, but I do recognize the fact that it mirrors exactly what you're getting into. Okay, let's see here. We got more. Bummer about King's X. I know. And that's probably it. They probably were just having a bad night. Rand was saying that the King's X probably just had a bad night. They've seen them 4 times live, stunningly good. Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just the bad night for them, because it was just we didn't get it. Vinyl tag is tagged with 20 questions about your record collection. I know that I got tagged with like vinyl, or not vinyl, but like music. So when somebody tags me and they let me know about that, I'll do it. But I haven't done that yet. Let's see here. Have I heard? What is that? 10,000. Oh boy, that is not an English title. Jose's Sid. I have not heard that. So that's where I have to leave that one. Let's see here. Are there any ones that I missed? Because we've got, what do we got? We got a couple more minutes, right? Oh yeah, we got a couple more minutes. I'm gonna go until 8, guys. So it'll just be like an hour-long Q&A. Let's see here. Did I miss anything? Oh, right. Travis had asked me my dream lineup of musicians, and I was actually thinking about this on my ride home. Because it changes, right? Like, it changes all the time in terms of the dream musical supergroup. I really like what Mike Portnoy, and I want to say it was Michael Eckefelt from Opeth. The two wanted to do like a musical conglomeration of musicians and vocalists, so that it would have like a really emphasis on harmonization. And I believe like the ultimate plan, and of course it didn't get off the ground, but it was like Devin Townsend, Michael Eckefelt, Mike Portnoy, Steve Wilson. Like they were all going to come in and have like this really overarching like harmonies upon harmonies within the music and within the vocals. And I really like that idea, because that's one of the main reasons why I love Moon Safaria so much, is the harmonizations that they have within it. So That I think would be a lot of fun. I would really like to see that. Okay, let's get back. Let's see. Did I miss anything here? Excuse me. Blah. Do I have any musical education? Nope. I took saxophone when I was... Well, I took saxophone lessons when I was in grade 5 or 6. And I think that was about it in terms of musical education. Because I'm in Ontario and the government seems to hate education, we could either choose one of the arts to study. And at the time I wanted to be like this big actor, right? So I could only take art. I could either, or I could take music, or I can take drama. I couldn't take more than one. So I'm just going to actually turn that down just a smidge. There we go. Maybe a little. So I took drama, which means I couldn't have taken music, which means that I lost a lot of that. So yeah, short answer, no. What are your thoughts on Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe? They're all right. I think that's... yeah, I mean, I think I sat down and I listened to the album. That's all right. It's all right. Let's see here. What would be your opinion on my... Let's see here. Let me try that again. I'm reading George's comment here. What would be your opinion on my perspective, your opinion, that Rush were better as a pop band and never really worked as a prog band? Well, I mean, that's fair. You're good to have it. I think that's fine. Yeah, I mean, if I wouldn't even call them a pop band. Because they only really, like, I was going to say they dipped their toe into the synth wave, but no, they submerged themselves into the synth wave. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. If you like them better, then go for it. I mean, obviously, knowing my background, my favorite part was their 70s and then the 2000s era. But, yeah. I mean, if it didn't work for you as their prog band, then that's perfectly fine. I know that a lot of their albums, they were kind of wavering all over the place. You know, and if you're not kind of into that kind of a presentation of music, then of course it wouldn't work. So, yeah. That's fine. Let's see here. Power Windows is your favorite. Okay, well, yeah. I love Power Windows. What is it, Marathon? I think it's Marathon. I love Marathon. What is the best prog album by a non-prog band? Ooh, that's a good question. What is my favorite? Let's see. Huh. I mean, the one that I want to go to is like Green Day's American Idiot. Ooh, no, Black Parade. That'll piss people off. My Chemical Romance's Black Parade, or Killjoys, which is more of a concept album. I mean, this is just without any kind of like sit down, research, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Let's see here. I'll do a couple more and then I'm going to call it an evening, guys. So, if you haven't asked your questions, go for it now. Let's see here. What are my 3 favorite movies of all time? Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or is it the Universe? Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Wall-E, and Emily. I know that's 4, but those are the ones. Albums that changed your mind after some time. That would be Fortress by Protest the Hero. I know I've answered that question before, but it's my go-to answer. Only because when I first heard it, I hated it. I distinctly remember writing a review about that album, just tearing it to shreds, saying the only way this is progressive is that it gets progressively worse. And I felt so proud of myself for coming up with that. But now I love it. I friggin' love that album. It is so good. So I think that's just the stark change. I still go back to albums that I never really connected with in hopes that it would change. You know, like at the beginning of this Q&A, I was talking about Tales of a Topographic Ocean and how at the beginning I didn't really like it all that much. I didn't connect with it. And as the years passed, I got more and more into it. Same with the Vision Bells from Pink Floyd. That did the same thing. So I keep doing that. And there are a handful of albums that I do that with. Fear from Marillion, Road of Bones from IQ. There's a few other ones that are out there that when I listen to them I didn't connect with, and so I revisit them thinking that maybe it's, you know, the context that I'm approaching it with, maybe it's the season that I'm in. So I always kind of come into that. So yeah. And last question, I know that Travis was asking about the butt off of album covers, going for the one or Hemispheres. I think I like the pose a little bit better from Hemispheres because he's definitely more engaged, whereas from Going for the One, he's just kind of standing there. But in terms of like proper supple, you got to go for Going for the One. I think there's a little bit more grab power in that one for sure. Okay, I think unless anybody has any long-lasting questions that they wanted to get on, I think we'll end it there. So thank you guys so much for coming out. This was a lot of fun. I just wanted to do like a really quick one. I know I hadn't done a live stream in a while, and I didn't put out any reviews or anything for a while. So I wanted to do, you know, something. Because I don't know when my next video is going to come up. Hopefully it'll be sometime mid next week. But I didn't want to leave you guys in a lurch of 2 solid weeks following one where I believe Empath was my last album review. And that was like on a Wednesday. So I didn't want to give you guys like a full 2.5 weeks. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for coming out. If you want to donate to my Patreon and do one of these live streams, definitely donate. I've got that link down below. Follow me on Twitter so that you can engage whenever something like this is coming up. I've got my Instagram where I show off my albums. I got my Facebook, which I ignore, but that's there as well. And if that's the way that you communicate, and yeah, I think that's about it. I think I'm going to end it there. So thanks guys for coming out, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. All right, well, until next time, notes out.